Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for coming. As I was sharing with quite a few people earlier today, I always hold my breath when you're organizing something like this for your first sessions, because guaranteed you might have 50%, 50 people registering, and you might be lucky sometimes to get 25% turning up. So thank you very much indeed for honoring your registration. Really good to see you, and I promise you've got a fantastic day ahead. And just to kind of warm up on things, I thought I'd share with you a few ideas that kind of my perspective of coaching at the moment. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Frank Dick. Once upon a time, Scottish national coach. We had quite a few good years up here. And then I was fortunate enough to be through a golden period of British athletics when we had a lot of success with some superstars. Nothing to do with me. They're all coached by great coaches from around the country. And so that's my history. Today, I happen to be the chair of World Athletics Coaches Commission. And I'll talk my way through that in a second. But before doing so, we're here to talk about winning. I think we are. We're coaches. We help people to win. But what does winning mean? That's how we look at this video I recorded some time ago. On the track, the competition is going to be here in Glasgow. You know, 100 years ago, I was a Scottish national coach. I used to go around the tracks of Scotland working with coaches. And every now and again, a little girl from this town or that town would turn up and you hear a little voice. And I'd be working away and hear the voice going, Mr. Dick! But with a name like mine, you don't turn around too fast because you don't know what's going to be said next, you know? So, Mr. Dick, yes. Will you coach me? God, yeah, but not at the moment because I'm working with these people. Will you coach me later? Yes, fine. Wait. Look, when I'm finished with them, I'll come and work with you. Where's that? And sit down in the stand. When I'm finished with them, I promise I'll come and work with you. Promise? Yeah, see you. Fine. Now, after I finish working with you, I'll work with her. She's 9 years of age and she wants to go to run 100 meters. And I work with her for a few weeks. She goes to her first race. She lines up with another 7 kids. On your mark. Set. Runs out the track. Hurls herself at the line. 8 out of 8. 18 seconds. Comes back. Oh, Mr. Dick, I was last. You weren't last. Yes, I was. You were 18 seconds. What do you mean? Well, you've smashed the 20-second barrier. And I had you down for 19 seconds. You're a whole second faster than that. Do you know what this means? No. This means it's your lifetime best performance. Your own personal world record. Really? Yes. In some ways, you're the first. What do you mean? She's the first athlete I've ever coached who's run 18 seconds for 100 meters. Now, listen, in a few weeks' time, she's got another race. What does she think winning is now? If she does 17.9, she'll grab a flag and she'll run around the track. Because that's what winning is. Winning is being better today than you were yesterday. Every day. And if she keeps on working at that, in a few weeks' time, she's fighting with other kids to get to the line. And you might think to yourself, well, surely winning now, Frank, is beating them. Not if it's in 19 seconds, it's not. Or we've killed our definition. The reason you go into tough arenas in life is to be challenged to perform better. You cannot perform better if you're not challenged. Listen, you don't learn to climb mountains in life by going round them or asking somebody for a ladder. You learn to climb mountains by climbing mountains, by seeking out the really toughest challenges, because that makes you perform better. When you keep on going at that, one day you'll be a one and only. But the truth is, she always was, is, and will be. And that's what we're about, folks, isn't it? A lot of people think that you're only defined by the gold medals, but that's not who defines you. We define ourselves each day by stepping up, facing the challenges, and being better. And that's what we try to instill into our athletes. So, as I said, my job now is with World Athletics is to look after the elite. It's been defined as the commission is to look after the elite end of coaching. But you all know me by this time. I'm a little bit wider than that. And we're actually looking at how we can spread the word through all levels of coaches. And part of my job then in this new role as the chair is to go around major meetings like this, to meet with elite coaches like yourself and to listen. What is it that you want from the sport? Because I don't know how many people have been listening to us before, but I want to listen and I want to make sure that the sport understands how can we look after coaches better. Part of that was to create a coaches charter. And as we speak, World Athletics are trying to move that forward so that we coaches, to a certain extent, you could say we're talking about our rights, but what member federations have got responsibilities, and so have we got responsibilities. And I want to make sure that by that charter, every member federation in the world is addressing their responsibilities to coaches, just as we address our responsibilities to member federations and, of course, to the athletes that we coach. Why do we do all these things? Well, a quote that I know some of you may have used, I coined some 20 years ago, is that athletes make excellence happen. It's coaches who make excellence possible. What do we do for that? Our fundamental responsibility, coaches, is to create the right learning environment for our athletes. That's our fundamental first role, is to help athletes embark on a journey of learning. Because a winning culture is founded on a learning culture, and that's what we're about. Through that environment, I used to get it wrong, by the way. I used to say to people, it's our job to give athletes ownership. But I was pulled up by a guy called, a guy who eventually ended up as the head of cybersecurity for the Ministry of Defence. And I was speaking to some young pilots in Rice Norton, and he pulled me up after and says, Frank, you can't give people ownership, they take it. And so that's why I use this little line here for you. It's our responsibility to create an environment that lets athletes learn how to take ownership, not only of the development and performance in the arena, but of the development and performance in life. Nothing is more wonderful to me than to have somebody drop me a line to maybe a young lad, Tommy Campbell, hammer thrower for Scotland. I got a note from him 2 Januaries ago. Said, Frank, you won't remember me, but I've seen you on social media, and you coached me when I was in Scotland when my coach died. And I remember his coach, he was a hammer thrower, and he phoned me up and said, my coach is gone, can you look after me, Frankie? And I said, look, the only thing I know about hammer throwing is what I learned at Loughborough. He said, but I trust you. Tell you what, Frank, I'll coach you if you coach me. And that was the start of the relationship. Well, he got into the Great Britain team. And the reason he was writing to me was, he said, you said this and this and this to me, and that resonated. And here I am in South Africa. I'm building 2 power stations for the government. And I just wanted to say thank you. And you know, that's what we do. We can do it inadvertently sometimes. But as we're taking athletes on their journey, we can say this or that to them, and it stays with them for life. Because what we're doing is not only preparing people for the arena, but through that experience for life, we're giving them life values. And that's what, to me, makes coaching such a wonderful experience. I've got a friend here who actually doesn't coach in sports, she coaches in business. And I find it very interesting that same ethos is exactly what she and her colleagues that actually coach in the UK are about. So the how, however, is changing. The what's clear, but the how's changing. Why? It's because, of course, we're about the people business, aren't we? If we don't understand people, we'll never get things forward. Don't care how much you know about technique, but if you don't understand people, we'll never move forward as coaches. So we've got to have that. But in addition to that, now artificial intelligence has popped up. Technology, hardware and software are improving faster than we could ever imagine. And of course, data is far more immediately available and more accurately available than it ever was before. And we've got to learn as coaches to embrace that. What does it mean for us? How will this change how we coach going forward? And here's my advice to you. There are four territories that we've got to consistently work at and be better at now to be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve of change in coaching. First is your coaching skills. Never leave these alone. I'm not a young boy anymore, as you can see, but I'm learning every single day. I'll learn things from you today in a conversation that I haven't heard before, and I want to learn because I want my coaching skills to get better. The second thing is, it's our decision making. Has it ever occurred to you that that's what will define you in life? Is your decision making, not your actions and so on. And remember Harry Potter's great coach, Professor Dumbledore, said, it's not by your actions that you will be remembered, but by your choices. That's who we are. We are decision makers. We've got to sharpen and sharpen our skills at that. Next, a lot of people say to me, but you know, all this stuff is around here, we've got to have better quality control. Well, quality control is important, of course it is, but we can't rely on it from everybody else all the time. We've got to be the quality controllers. How? We've got to learn together to be better at our critical thinking. Now, I don't know of any coaching course in the world that's got modules on critical thinking. But if anybody's interested in that, I'm more than happy after we finish today to sit down and have a chat about it. But if we're not quality critical thinkers, we'll have youngsters coming through just taking up anything that they see on social media and say, oh, that's good, we'll do with that. That coach is doing, so it must be good. Some of the stuff that's coming out there, if I can use the expression, is crap. Some of it is seriously damaging if you try to use it without any control. Critical thinking is important. But finally, and really big time now, folks, is data management. If we can't manage the data ourselves, we should have access to people who can analyze it and do the management for us. Because there's a tsunami of stuff coming through to us these days. What are we going to do about it? Do we understand the data? Some people think, well, that's not all that important in track and field, is it? There are field events coaches here, and you field event coaches know that in the middle of your competition, you're interacting with your athletes. You're now going to be having information, really accurate data, instantly, far, far quicker than you've ever had it before. And so you have this opportunity to use that to pass it on to the athletes that are out there. Are you ready for that? These four things, I think, are how we're going to be defined in terms of our competencies as we go forward. So that's all I've got to say to you. I just wanted to warm up. This is a warm-up act for the day. And I wanted to get us ready for some really rich stuff that's coming. And the first speaker today is a friend of mine called Matt Horsnell. You'll know his athlete probably better than you know him. Nicola Olyslagers. He's coached us through. He did get the Australian Coach of the Year award for 2025 for what was called a golden year, but actually he's been coaching us through golden years. Lifetime best performance of 2.4 meters. That's pretty high, but folks. I don't know if you've ever looked at just how high these athletes are jumping. Measure 2.4 meters in the wall. And then to just ask yourself, how on earth does anybody get their whole body over that? But probably most importantly from his point of view, apart from the silver medals at 2 Olympic Games, 2020 and 2024, apart from that, in 16 years of her competition, she's been injury-free for 15.